We brought an AI SDR to life 30 days ago. We named him Jack. We put him live on our website. And the number one question we got, even during the webinar was, hey, how's he doing? Is it working? Like, how's it working? What are the results? Those are the right questions, because I think, everyone here in one way, shape, or form is a revenue leader, and we all want to know, like, is it time? Like, is the technology ready? Is it going to work? Should I put this into play? Should I be thinking about slotting this into my plans? And, we wanted to go early so that we could report back, but obviously 30 days ago, we had exactly 0 days of experience on the job. But today we got 30 days of experience on the job. So we're going to report back. But we've got the hiring manager for Jack, that is Sherry Johnston. We've got the creator of the technology that sits behind Jack, the agent technology, that's Amanda Kalo, and the technology is called OneMind. And then we've got Yash Tekrawal, who represents Clay, who's running the back-end processes for Jack. We're going to check in with each of them and answer this question of how's it going. But to kick us off, Amanda, you're at the epicenter of it, talking to investors, and you've got customers, and you've got partners, and you've built the technology that's kind of defining the space. So from your perspective, how should we be thinking about agents right now in GTM and especially in 2025?
The first thing I like to think about when I think about agents and what's out there on the market today, as you said, Benioff is creating, agent force. The simple definition of an agent, in my estimation, is an agent is a task-based workflow automation. So automating a task across different processes within your organization. And I think agents are very effective. We call ourselves superhumans, slightly different, because our goal, and like what we've created Jack to do, is to be in the conversation, not just automate workflow and tasks, but actually have a human-like experience. So to meet the buyers when they're active, ready, and engaged across any channel, whether that be your website, in product, on a Zoom, in Google Meets, etc., and have a conversation that leverages methodologies like Winning by Design Spiced to uncover impact and pain and ask the hard questions and get to the solution that answers those questions in real time, rather than waiting for a human. Humans have capacity limitations. Humans have recall limitations. Humans have the best of intentions, but humans are fraught with problems. And they're really expensive. So our goal is, if you look at your P&L, 50 to 80% of your budget is on humans. And across, in your sales and marketing, it's 50%. So who doesn't have an opportunity or a challenge when it comes to growth and pipeline and driving revenue within an organization? And who doesn't want to cut costs? And that is our ultimate goal, is to help you cut costs, because humans are expensive and humans have limitations, to the best of intentions, but limitations. And how can we meet your buyers at the end of the day with an experience that delights them? So really talks to them in an empathetic way.
Amanda, could you bring Jack on and show us a little bit about what he's set up to do?
Absolutely.
Hey, thanks for taking the time to chat. Can I take 5 minutes to give your GTM motion some wings?
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Jack, but give me some wings.
Heck yeah, I love that energy. So before we dive in, what should I call you?
You should call me Amanda.
Awesome, Amanda. So what's the one thing you'd love to tackle today? Let's make it happen.
Well, I'm trying to look for some more efficiencies across my go-to-market motion. I'm a CRO. I have 100 million in revenue, and we're selling to enterprise, a sales-led motion, and we really want to come down market. And so I'm trying to tackle, how do I get more efficiency and come down market and do it in a way to get all my sales team on board and change our processes. I'm just really struggling right now. I was wondering if the Winning by Design team could potentially help here.
Amanda, you're speaking my language. I love a good challenge like this. You're juggling a shift in motion, team alignment, and process redesign, all while keeping the revenue factory humming. Let's break it down a bit. Can you tell me where things feel the most stuck right now? Is it in the team's buy-in, adapting processes, or something else?
I'm trying to get to some of my more junior sellers to be aligned on what our core messages are and how to sell most efficiently. So really around, sales enablement and efficiency.
Got it? Sales enablement and efficiency are the keys to getting those junior sellers aligned and firing on all cylinders. This slide highlights the importance of equipping reps with the fundamental skills they need for their roles. What's been the biggest hurdle so far in getting those core messages to stick with your team?
Well, they have the best of intentions, but I really need them to be aligned on a method, one method. Everybody's using different sales methodologies. What would you recommend?
Ah, Amanda, you've hit the nail on the head. Alignment is everything. I'd recommend anchoring your team around a unified framework like Spiced. It's customer-centric, scalable, and works across the entire sales process. What would success look like for you if everyone rallied around one methodology?
Well, I would go from a 70% sales attainment to at least an 85%.
That's a big jump. Huge potential there. If we could get your team aligned and hitting that 85%, do you see it happening through training, playbooks, coaching, or maybe a mix of all three?
I mean, I kind of think we would need all three, but I'm interested in pricing and scope. How would I price this out for my team?
Great question, Amanda. For a team-wide transformation like this, I'd recommend starting with something like our private training courses paired with skills coaching. Pricing typically starts at $1,500 per seat for role-based
Okay.
courses.
I'm gonna jump in here. I'm ready to talk to a human now. Like this was really helpful. Can you connect me to the right person?
Absolutely, Amanda. Since you're tackling enterprise-level challenges, I'd recommend connecting you with Betsy, who's fantastic at aligning teams with tailored solutions. You can book time with her directly here. Schedule with Betsy. What's the top priority you'd like her to focus on during your chat?
I'd like her to focus on how to get my team aligned. Do you need to give my name back to Betsy?
Got it. Team alignment will be the focus. No worries. Amanda, once you book with Betsy, she'll have your info. You're all set to dive in. Anything else I can prep for you before you chat with her?
Well, can you just run down for me? Show me that you actually heard what my spiced. Can you tell me what the spice, my pain and impact, what you uncovered in this conversation today?
Ah, Amanda, I love that you're keeping me on my toes. Let's break it down S-P-I-C-E style. Situation. You're a CRO with $100 million in revenue, running a sales-led motion focused on enterprise accounts.
Hopefully you got a sense of like what Jack is actually doing. And when we think about managing and coaching a superhuman, we think about it in this similar lens as we manage and coach a human. Managing, are they showing up when and where they should? Okay, great. If they're not, let's go in and adjust that. And then when they do show up, so that's like managing. And then coaching is, are they showing up how they should?
We have to choose how we want him to behave. And is he trying to meet the buyer and just answer the questions and be empathetic? Or do you want him to actually be like really aggressive? And that's all like conscious choice we make in training the superhuman.
Amazing. Yeah. And some of it we accomplished during kind of the one-time upload training. Like we're going to train on process. From where does the superhuman get the handoff? What process does the superhuman run? And then where does the superhuman deliver the handoff? Those are very kind of process-oriented things. Skills, which you already mentioned, Amanda, like how do I get after spiced? How do I open a call? How do I close a call? Those are sales skills that come pre-programmed in the case of OneMind into the superhuman's brains. And then knowledge. And knowledge is really about the product, the market, the competition, the pricing. That's what allowed him to pull up a slide or, direct you in a certain direction. And not everything's going to happen perfectly during training. Some of that stuff is going to be corrective action while we are managing and coaching after the superhuman's already been deployed. So that's what you're seeing right now. He was trained. Now we're making adjustments through ongoing managing and coaching. Now the real question, Sherry, like you've run marketing and as part of running marketing on multiple occasions, I know you've run SDR teams. And so you know something about hiring, onboarding, training, managing, and coaching a human, into a new SDR role. Now you've done it for a robot. What kind of stands out to you as the compare and contrast?
Yeah, no, thanks, Dave. I think, it's been really interesting and fun working with the One Mind team on this. But yeah, you're right. More and more as we got into it, it is very analogous to what we would do to train an actual human. So everything from teaching Jack the handoffs to the sales methodologies, you can see teaching him how to do spiced. Probably most notably, products and services as we think about onboarding a new hire in sales. We have over 50 SKUs here at Winning by Design between consulting and training, so that can be a heavy lift. CRM, hygiene, and then just also customer centricity and tone, which is also more the soft skills. And I think when in this process, one of the standouts to me as someone who is in charge of enablement is the ease of adding new products and services to Jack. I thought it was amazing to just feed him FAQs on our 52 different SKUs and automatically be able to onboard him to seamlessly not only have customer stories at his fingertips, but be able to articulate our offerings really, really well. And, as you guys can see, with a little bit of personality, so it made it really interesting to engage versus just sort of regurgitating information, which I found delightful. But 30 days in, I think some of the things we're still working out, as Amanda mentioned, is kind of like, okay, how do we balance that education versus, getting him back to our reps to have further conversations. And so some of those things are where we're still kind of tweaking and fine tuning him 30 days in. I think being able to immediately pull up like-minded customers and say, hey, do you have anyone that you've worked with already that sounds like what I'm after? I would definitely test it out. I'm pretty impressed with his ability to match use cases back to our SPICE methodology and really regurgitate the situation, pain, and impact of a customer story.
And now we're right to the moment we've all been waiting for, Sherry. How's he doing? Like, you've hired these SDRs, these human SDRs. We got 30 days with a robot SDR. How's Jack doing?
Yeah, so by the numbers, Jack has some really interesting and impressive metrics. What I look at is kind of the leading indicators. How is he doing just in terms of his day-to-day job? How is he performing? And then the lagging indicators we'll go over as well in terms of more hard ROI metrics. But in terms of leading indicators, Jack's had 831 conversations to date in those last 30 days. So pretty impressive volume of metrics. And these are conversations that have lasted longer than a minute. So they're not just sort of someone kicking the tire for a minute and moving off. He's had the most conversations around go-to-market, SPICE, sales process, customer success, and identified 1,282 different individual pain points. So really, really great metrics in terms of getting him working. He is not on the phone with his friends or texting. He's actually working pretty hard here.
I couldn't do this in my head, Sherry, but 831 divided by 30, I just did on my calculator. That's 27.7 conversations per day, including weekends.
Yep, doing really well there. I think by any metrics, there's definitely a lot of different standards in terms of SDR performance metrics, but I think by any standard, that's a really impressive volume. We also have, in terms of spiced performance, as we've talked about here already, spiced is an incredibly important part of our sales methodology. And, just to kind of reiterate, regardless of Jack aside, we see such great performance improvements when our reps use spiced or any of our customers use spiced. So with 100% spice completion, we see 10% increase in win rate. We also see 29% higher quota attainment, and this is across tens of thousands of different sales opportunities. So adopting SPICE, we really see that increase in performance. And Jack was able to have 1,983 SPICE qualifying questions across his buyers, which equates for about 2.32 SPICE questions answered per user. And then when 60% reached the spice stage, he actually had almost 4 spice questions. So once he started to go down the discovery phase, it was even more successful. So really impressed with the spiced adoption to really get that customer centricity that we're looking for. Just recapping the leading indicators here, we I think one piece that I look at as a hiring manager that is really impressive is just the immediate response time. So prior to Jack, we had basically a contact us form was our process. So now prospects are able to immediately get answers and talk to a human, which is a great user experience. He mentioned he has 831 conversations with an average of 6 minutes, which is an 86 hours of conversation for 30 days in, which is pretty impressive. And then, instant onboarding. I guess this is my favorite part as a hiring manager, being able to just, hey, Dave, you launched a new product the other day. I was able to turn it into an FAQ and upload it to Jack, and he immediately is able to talk about that product, which is just so amazing from an onboarding perspective. We want to switch forward to slide 11. I can just share that Jack has created 70 leads. And 8 have moved into pipeline in his 30 days. Now, this is a piece that we talked about earlier where we're sort of continuing to optimize. All right, right now, Jack is incredibly great at having discovery, educating people on our products and services. And as we see, we're not super aggressive about moving him into providing a contact information or a lead. So we're balancing that out. But right now, we have had 8 move into pipeline. He has, in our case, we have consumable products as well as our project projects. So he's had 300 conversations where he's moved people to our digital products for books and courses and advisory service they can buy online. And in 184 of those instances, they had pricing conversations, which is always a great indicator of moving that direction. And he's averaged about 2 new contacts to the CRM a day.
How would you grade Jack on CRM hygiene so far?
Yeah, so we have been working with the team to make this a vision of even better than we can with an SDR. So I think some things that are amazing about his CRM hygiene is his call summaries, right, are better than any SDR I've had, being able to summarize the conversation and have it to where when it is handed off to Betsy or whoever on our team, they're able to easily articulate what the conversation was, what the spiced was for that particular conversation. But in this case, I will leave it to Yash over at Clay to kind of describe in more detail on how he approached our CRM hygiene.
Yeah, for sure. Happy to take it over. And also, I think just to answer some of the questions I was seeing in chat, right, I want to caveat, Clay is not involved at all. I think it's all one mind secret spiced magic in the actual training of the SDR itself. But if we take what Amanda was talking about as this framework of we're replacing this potentially human SDR with a still human-like experience, there's a lot of work to be done to translate that into what your CRM looks like, which is structured data. So there's piece 1, which is one mind sending unstructured data in a structured way to your CRM. But then there's also piece 2, which is you all probably have teams of either RevOps or SDRs or a combination of the two, trying to go get all the extra data from that, right? From Amanda's conversation, for example, we have Amanda's name, we have the company she works at, we have her email, but we don't have any of the enriched information about all of that. We don't have the company size, we don't have her title, we don't have the industry that she works in. Someone on the team somewhere has to go get that data in a manual world today. And that's kind of where Clay comes in. So let me share my screen and show you guys what we sort of built for the team to test this with Jack Live. And so I'll note a couple of things. First, what you're seeing here is Clay. And all we are doing is we are taking the data generated from each conversation that Jack has and then doing a couple of things. One, qualifying it. Not every conversation that somebody has with every potential customer is actually a qualified convo. I'm sure many of you know there's trolls on the internet. There's people who submit half-flaked information. You don't want to fill your CRM with people with fake names and fake companies that are not real prospects whatsoever. So you can see here, for example, Jack is doing a pretty good job already of filtering out, okay, here's a conversation where they didn't give me the name, the company, or the email. If I wanted to double check that, I could come click on this cell here, this is the source. Jack is telling us what he's been able to extract. He summarizes the conversations. He provides us his full transcript of everything that they talked about in this JSON type format. And then we're going to be able to take what Jack is giving us and pull out more information from there. So I have a filtered view here of just the qualified convos since we started hooking Jack up to Clay. So it's not going to be the same numbers we were just talking about because it took us some time to hook this sync up. But you can see actually Amanda's conversation that she just had with Jack live with us right now has already flowed in.
That's so cool. That's so cool, Yash.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? We get her
Yeah.
data automatically. We got her name, we got her company, and we got her email. I think there's a couple of things here that we're doing just off the start because we're still actually really actively updating and thinking about this system. But number one, I probably care as a human analyzing this data. What did Jack actually talk with Amanda about? So we're using Clay AI here to go analyze that transcript that I was showing you from that source data. Using DeepSeek is the model we chose here to give a reasoning of, okay, here's what I analyzed from the conversation. So we can feed this now directly into the CRM. And I even asked it to generate just like a condensed summary of main topics. What are the main things that Amanda talked to Jack about? So that if this link gets passed to Betsy, she has that context immediately. Let's talk about executive alignment, enterprise deal complexity, GTM strategy optimization, executive level sales consultation, all of this good stuff. So there's contextual information we're summarizing and passing along to the CRM. Number one, we're going to go find the LinkedIn profiles wherever we can. So if someone gave us like a real name and a real company, we can go find it. If it's not a real name, like unknown at Now Edge, we're not going to try and return false data as well, so we don't waste our reps' time with that. Wherever we do have real people at real companies giving us real information, like Amanda's recent conversation, I can find out, okay, impressive. She's the CEO and founder of OneMind. Might want to pay more attention to that from a qualification perspective. They're a company that works in the software development industry. You can see in purple, I've highlighted some of the primary data points we want populating our CRM. And then just to double check and make sure, even if someone doesn't provide their email in the chat, just from their first name and their company name, I can find the profile and go look up their email as well. So even through here, you can actually see a couple of people like Jeff, who works at a small consulting company. We found this guy who works at Washington State Real Estate based on the conversation transcript as well. And then we also still found his email so that we can follow up in a meaningful way with them afterwards.
Something just came to mind. One thing to think about when you're deploying a superhuman like this and working with Clay is that we have a tendency to think about how can this replace a specific human role, but the superhuman can do things that a human can't and can be in places where there is no business model for a human, because we put humans in places where it's high value and you can actually justify the cost of a human. But in the case, like we have a very large enterprise company we just went live with 2 weeks ago. And they started with their very small business and like going after like, all right, we just want to go after our very small business and make sure the superhuman has positive sentiment and it's working. And lo and behold, 98% of their buyers found it to be a positive experience. Now they're putting it in front of their enterprise deals. So before they get on the phone with sales, how can they use Spiced and other methodologies like this to uncover more about the pain in the buyer before the salesperson gets on the phone? So it's another step in the process, or like that long PLG long tail that you would never hire a human or an SDR to talk to because these are $1,000 deals. A superhuman can have that conversation because there is
That's
a
so
business model
cool.
for it.
Like a pre-interview, like an intake interview almost.
So like that
Amazing.
6 minutes can uncover so much and then connect it to Clay and get all the other information, and you don't have to ask it in conversation. So once you ask somebody for their email, they kind of like, so I love this partnership because the less we have to ask and the more she can just provide or he can provide value in conversation, and let Clay do the dirty work, if you will, of like getting all the rich information about the person and just really get to their needs and their pain and how you can solve their problem. Let the superhuman do that and let Clay get all the basic information that's already out there.
All right. So on May 14th in San Francisco, we are hosting the Impact Summit, the Year of AI. The point of this is to help go-to-market leaders understand what are we ready to do in 2025 with AI. Answer that question that you guys answered briefly, and then lay out a roadmap for what can be done in 2025, given what's there. We would love to see you there either virtually or in person, and we will catch you on the next webinar. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us.